Well, thank you everyone for joining today's webinar on the alternative fuel advantage, natural gas and propane. My name is Matt Stevens-Rich. I'm Projects Manager with Clean Fuels Ohio. And today we're going to be discussing the differences and benefits of natural gas and propane, while also highlighting the ICOM alternative fuel system and Greenbridge Technologies. So a little bit about Clean Fuels Ohio. We are a statewide nonprofit Clean Cities coalition that works to improve petroleum displacement across Ohio in the interest of promoting environmental benefit, energy security, and economic well-being. We're a part of the Clean Cities program, which is a U.S. Department of Energy program. It's been around since 1993, and that program as a whole has worked to displace more than 7.5 billion gallons of petroleum since its inception in 93, which, just to put it into terms of nowadays, more than 6.8 million tons of greenhouse gas emissions were eliminated in 2014 alone. And also through the program, we've seen a deployment of more than 500,000 alternative fuel vehicles and advanced vehicle technologies since 1993. So Clean Fuels Ohio, we help serve Ohio as a part of this program. And some of those things that we do to serve the state include fleet analysis and consulting, working with both private and public fleets on analyzing their fleet makeup and seeing what alternative fuels may make sense. Ohio Green Fleets, which is a program that we use to recognize leaders in alternative fuels across Ohio. We also do conduct legislative outreach and policy, such as around House Bill 176, which I'll go into more detail later on in the webinar. And also we conduct events and networking opportunities such as this webinar here today. Our main objective is to be fuel and technology neutral, promoting different types of technologies and fuels that are able to deploy in the commercial sector, both on the private and public side, and linking those fuels up with those fleets that make the best fit. And so one of the ways that we're able to do that is through a program called Midwest Drives. This is a program that's funded by the U.S. Department of Energy, and it's a free alternative fuel vehicle demonstration program available in Ohio, Michigan, and Indiana. It's available throughout 2016 and into July 31st of 2017, so the first half of next year. We have a great library of vehicles, over 30 vehicles participating across all class sizes and fuel types. And we're working with our sister Clean City coalitions in each respective state to make this happen. And the objective is doing free vehicle demonstrations with public and private fleets. All fleets are eligible, while also conducting case study generation and data logging, helping show some real world data analysis and data inputs from these vehicles being deployed. So very excited about this program, and I'll be going a little bit more over that in detail later in the webinar as well. So for now, let me hand it over to Ralph Perpetuani with ICOM North America.
This costs on your vehicles, reducing greenhouse gas emissions approximately by 20%. And with the ICOM liquid injection system, we are maintaining torque, horsepower, and drivability as you would have on your gasoline vehicle. Propane autogas, I indicated a few of the advantages. This is a courtesy of PERC, Propane Education Research Council, about how the advantages that I went through, that it's clean, cost-effective, it makes common sense, it's commitment-friendly, to domestic, abundant, affordable, and available. ICOM's global presence started in Italy. 1984 it was founded. We started as a manufacturer of the toroidal tank, which is the tank that fits in the spare wheel well. Sold many of those, over 3 million around the world. We have numerous patents on alternative fuel systems. We have sold over 250,000 liquid propane injection systems. The certified ISO company in Europe, numerous EN67 certifications, which are actually product certifications, and conduct extensive testing on validating each component that is applied to the vehicle. ASME certified tanks to be operate in the U.S. have to be ASME certified. Distribution in 15 countries on 5 continents. So we're also a Tier 1 OEM supplier throughout Europe. And we also have Canadian approval, which I will go through briefly. ICOM North America was established in North America in 2004. We're headquartered and assembly plant in New Hudson, Michigan. At this plant in New Hudson, Michigan, we assemble, manufacture, and integrate the liquid injection propane system for the U.S. market. We are NFP 58 compliant and FMVSS 303, of course, compliant also. As indicated before, we have Canadian IGAC certification at -40 degrees and EN 6701 certified. Crash tested on quite a few vehicles. We have over 800 EPA certified vehicle platforms, and these are for dedicated or monofuel systems and biofuel systems, which are systems which will allow you to have gasoline as a backup. Briefly, also want to touch on the UPass Group, which is an ICOM company. We have formed the UPass Group to grow propane, auto gas as an industry. But with UPass, what we do is a one-stop shopping for the customers, which means that we integrate our propane partners and other the marketers and also other manufacturers, which connects fleets with, it really creates a one-stop shopping for the fleet to use like auto gas as a fuel source. And the UPass Group, as the members grow on this group, it allows to have access to all this type of services and management. ICOM Technology and Training Center, which opened a few years ago, where we do the installation of the ICOM system, but also with our integration and for vehicles and R&D. Installation service points throughout the U.S., as you can see, located in Michigan, the ICOM North America plant and the Technology and Training Center, and about at present 90 additional service and installation points throughout the U.S. As indicated, when we began in 1984, we began with the total tank manufacturing, which is the donut-shaped tank which fits in the spare wheel well. From the total tank, we went into liquid injection systems. From there, we went to an external propane pump application, which I will indicate to you, which is also a patented and innovative ICOM system, which allows you to have the pump externally rather than inside the tank. Direct injection systems, which are also an innovative ICOM technology on creating a direct injection propane engine. A diesel blend system, which allows an application of a liquid propane injection system on a diesel engine without transforming the engine. Propane hybrid systems, where you have the presence of a gasoline and electric engine. We can also, of course, apply the propane system, liquid injection propane system. Briefly, to explain the advantages of an ICOM JTG system, it is plug and play, which means that the complete system is pre-assembled here in the factory, and if it's installed, factory install. If not, it's installed by our service centers or directly from the fleets in very few cases. It is a plug-and-play system, so there's no need to alter the OEM ECU in any way, and complete standard OBD2 factory diagnostics, not affected by temperature changes, and very few cutting or splicing, if any at all, with the harnesses of the wire connections. As indicated before, this is the ICOM patented multi-valve, which has the presence of the fuel pump. The fuel pump, as you will see, is actually in the valve, in the multi-valve, and it's in direct contact with the internal part of the tank. This has allowed for a much quicker and service or a substitution of the pump, if that should be the case, rather than having to empty out totally the propane tank and have access to the pump inside the tank, increasing the time actually which you would have to go and service. This is also another innovative ICOM patent. Liquid injection versus a vapor propane systems. Most notably is the power. You know, it's an increase of power with a liquid injection system compared to actually gasoline versus a decrease, usually in many cases, of a vapor system. Better torque, drivability, better throttle response, no acceleration lag. And this is most noticeably when driving a liquid injection system versus a vapor system. Very reliable in cold start. This is, of course, for example, in a dedicated system or a monofuel system. You start on propane, and we are very successful with liquid injection, starting at temperatures even of -40, -50 degrees. There's also an advantage for valve recession because injecting liquid into the manifold creates a cold charge, and this keeps the temperatures lower in the engine and also on the valves. That is a major advantage for valve recession compared to vapor, which actually increases. There isn't a cold charge because it's already in the vapor state, and this actually increases the temperature on the engine. And last but not least, there is an odor of propane usually associated with vapor system because of the presence of a regulator. This regulator, the vaporizer, in the vapor system, which transforms from liquid to vapor in the vaporizer, in the engine compartment usually requires a lot of maintenance and does give off an odor of propane in the vehicle. The liquid propane injection system, briefly, versus a natural gas system in vehicles. The main difference is, as you can see here, there's a cost associated. Usually propane systems are less expensive, so your ROI is more beneficial with the propane system. Performance, compared to a liquid propane injection system, a natural gas system that usually are not as performing as a liquid injection propane system. Fueling infrastructure, unlike CNG, propane is not a greenhouse gas, but also more available in rural areas. And the cost of a maintenance of a station is much lower than a CNG station. A propane station can usually be put in most any fleet at a very, very residual marginal cost compared to a CNG station, which has a very high cost for installation, but also for maintenance. Tanks, LPG tanks, approximately 4 times smaller than CNG tanks, so it makes it much easier to integrate a propane tank into a vehicle and get the right amount of gallonage and usage in the vehicle, rather than having to use up more space and not getting the right gallonage with CNG tanks. Lower pressure in propane than there is in CNG. And also, there is not the expense of updating your facility. If you do go with CNG, there is an expense required to update your facility to be able to service the CNG vehicles, whereas with propane, there's not this requirement. ICOM Systems and Technology in North America, approximately over 20,000 propanes in use in North America with ICOM technology. That transforms into $235 million to date in fuel savings costs on the fleets in the U.S. using the ICOM system. Estimated emissions reductions over 30%. Particulate matter, which is very important, reduced to almost zero. 185 million gallons of propane utilized. Also translates into about 163 million gallons of gasoline diesel displaced. Over 1 million miles driving safely, which makes a big statement on the reliability of the ICOM system. And our objective really is, on the next 5 years, to reach about 100,000 ICOM systems on the market. These are a few slides with a guide to alternative fuels and really what's important for the fleets and what the fleets should be looking for, or any company, not just the fleets, of course, in utilizing alternative fuels. So, if your objective, of course, is to achieve sustainability goals, utilize a domestic fuel source, substantial fuel cost savings, and dramatically reduce emissions and greenhouse gases, and then it's about choosing which alternative fuel is best for your fleet. The benefits of propane compared to other fuels incur little or no infrastructure costs. There is a minimum, if hardly any, monthly cost associated with that infrastructure. We perform the ICOM liquid injection system to perform equal to a BEV and substantial fuel cost savings, of course. Reduced emissions, You can have a gasoline equivalent capacity with your propane, gallonage-wise. I've indicated before, the liquid injection has a cold shot of the benefits, and also the benefits of starting at minus 40 degrees, if that should be the environment in which they have to operate in. Of course, what to look for in a propane vehicle system manufacturer is manufactured in the U.S., long and successful track record of vehicle safety, reliability, financially stable, and product liability insurance, and strong relationships, of course, in the industry. Systems must be EPA certified. So EPA certification is key here, and it is a requirement. It must meet also all the safety standards, NFP 58 and FMVSS 303. Fuel tanks, as indicated before, must have an ASME certification. It must be ASME certified. Excellent performing liquid injection or vapor injection. System warranty, OEM warranty also maintain EPA certification. And of course, installed by a qualified installation center that will also provide reliable service. Is biofuel or monofuel best for your fleet? There are advantages to both, and that really will depend on the type of use your fleet has, and also the preference. Biofuel, extended range, and you have gasoline as a backup. This is all done automatically. It's a seamless integration. In other words, there is no choice of fuel by the driver. The vehicle automatically starts on gasoline, goes over to propane very quickly, and if propane should run out of the vehicle, it will switch back over to gasoline. But this is seamless, and it does not require any driver, any of the drivers to actually do anything to achieve that. On the dedicated monofuel, of course, the vehicle is always on propane and is only on propane. So it's on propane, and thus important that with it is liquid injection, giving advantages on having a monofuel versus a vapor, for example, in that case. Fueling infrastructure partner, pricing that fits the needs, fueling infrastructure that fits the needs, also support and service and strong relationship. This was also going back to when we indicated UPass. UPass Group, of course, has all the partners that will be able to do this and bring this to the table. Incentives, grants, or rebates available. There varies by state. There's CMAQ funding that could be available. FTA funding, that could be available. And also there is for this year already approved 36 cents per gallon alternative fuel credit, and that's for all of 2016. So ICOM has almost 100 years alternative experience globally. As we suggest to move forward, alternative fuels, research and then choose the alternative fuel that best suits your fleet. Choose the right fleet partner, fueling partner, system partner, installation service center. Start with a pilot project is what we usually advise, and then from the pilot project, expand to that so you enjoy the benefits of propane. This is one of our customers who put together a matrix before they decided on which fuel was right for them and the application that they wanted to choose. And as you can see here, the customer indicated various from electric, flex fuel, CNG, and propane. You'll notice all the green checks on propane. And the categories that he chose at the time was vehicle cost, conversion cost. So the vehicle cost, of course, the electric was prohibitive for him. They had vans and they were delivering packages and mail service. Conversion cost, propane was the most convenient. Fuel cost, propane came out. Also CNG, of course. Range, propane gave them the best range. Infrastructure, as I indicated before, was the best solution for them as considering infrastructure in their fleet and the cost of that. And maintenance costs, which also propane came out ahead of the other fuels. Why did Lake Michigan mailers in their choice of the system manufacturer, ICOM North America? Because we were experienced. For them, it was important in Michigan that we were a Michigan company operating and manufacturing here in Michigan. EPA certified, which is fundamental. Liquid versus the vapor, so customer understood the inherent advantages of a liquid injection system versus a vapor injection system. No driver interaction required. Smart system, as I indicated before. By choosing also a biofuel system, there is no driver interaction required. So it's a it's a seamless system and fully integrated. And no loss of cargo space because of the tank configuration. They chose a tank which was mounted externally to the vehicle, which gave them the right gallonage, the right range, but also didn't take up any space in their vehicle. Another case of the ICOM free case study, the DHL contractor, Austin Express, 200 vehicles, approximately $5,000 per day savings that this fleet actually is able to save with this, which means $1.2 million of savings on fuel per year, 750,000 gallons of foreign oil displaced per year, and they're continually adding ICOM system as new vehicles are added. And they use a wide range of vehicles from the smaller Ford Transit, E-Series, and the bigger Transit, the E-Series vans, all the way up to the F-650s for the bigger trucks. MetroCar is another example of a livery service here at the Detroit Metro Airport, for example. They have over 250 vehicles running with ICOM systems. They save approximately $1.5 million annual on their cost savings and continually adding also systems. They do mostly SUVs and town cars, and also the shuttle buses for the airport. And the Lincoln Navigators and the town cars run high mileage on a yearly basis. They almost run 200,000 miles per year with a liquid injection systems, which allows them to be on the road for that many miles with and reliability. Provider Ride is another customer, the contractor for the city of Cleveland, Ohio, with 52 shuttle buses and vans, and they operate with huge cost savings, as we indicated, but also dramatically reduced emissions and greenhouse gases. These slides are other ICOM fleet customers and go on from so forth. There are many of them, but many great examples on what the return on investment is, what they're actually saving, and the amount of greenhouse gases they also, and the fuel range that they need. So as you can see, the applications are across the board for any type of fleet, and also always give the same type of benefits. There are different just on EPA certifications. Vehicle manufacturers' warranty is retained when equipped with an EPA certified compliance system, so it's important, besides being required, that the systems are EPA certified. So these are two, just to indicate, when we indicate that we have over 800 platforms certified, we start from, goes from Ford vehicles, virtually the whole gamut of the Ford vehicles, from the Ford Taurus, all the SUVs, all the pickup trucks and vans. So as you can see, you have a wide range. Also on GM, from the Silverado, Chevy Express, the Chevy Tahoe, the Yukon Suburban, and also the 6-liter 2500, 3500. Projections for 2016 will be coming out with our direct injection technology. So the 5.3 and the 6.2 on the Chevrolet, the 3.6 Impala, for example, and the vans, and also the 2500 and 3500 on the pickups with the GM 6.0 engine. Direct injection, you'll see the Toward EcoBoost, the 3.5 EcoBoost, and then you'll also see the Transit 2016 and the E450 updates on the 2016 version of the 6.8-liter engine. Direct injection, as we indicate, the EcoBoost and the 5.3 and the 6.2, and also the 3.6 direct injection. EPA approved police vehicles, also with our partner with the Mega System, we are capable of doing the Crown Victorias and the Chrysler and the Dodges. Before I get in slightly into GBT, 2 slides with GBT, a little bit going back on the direct injection application. What we have done with liquid injection, also applications in the DI world, is that we have created a direct injection engine. And what I mean by that is that liquid propane is injected through the high pressure pump and the high pressure injectors on the vehicle, maintaining that philosophy and the benefits of direct injection, which is better efficiency and cleaner burning, but also more horse and torque power with a smaller engine. Thus the reason for downsizing a direct injection engine rather than a port injected engine. All these benefits, we have managed to sustain that with propane, giving the added benefits of reduced emissions and reduced particulate matter in the DI engine, which is also very important, enjoying the benefits of that type of DI application. Greenbridge Technologies, very briefly, is also an ICOM company, which has come up with an innovative and very reliable natural gas systems for the Chevy Cruze and the Chevy Trax. These are dedicated natural gas systems. As you can see from the different two applications, gives a sufficient gasoline equivalent, and these vehicles are optimized from a technology point of view to run just as good as gasoline, giving all the benefits of natural gas. So where we have those natural gas applications, you will find the Cruze and the Trax. We are expecting by year end also to go into the pickup trucks on the GM side, and these are GM dedicated CNG vehicles, so also going into the pickups, and then after the pickup trucks on the 6.0, for example, it will also be going into direct injection CNG technology with GBT. We also distribute Installed Services Canada. UPS Canada utilizes the ICOM monofuel system throughout Canada, which indicates, for example, with their application after 2 years of testing in the very rigid -40 degrees. So for safety and durability, we went through a 2-year process with UPS Canada on utilizing the ICOM system on their vehicles in a dedicated version for UPS with great success. Thank you, and pass it back over to Matt.
Great, thanks, Ralph. So what I'll do now is steer things into focusing on incentives available here in Ohio, as well as other ways that fleets that are interested in learning more can get involved with different types of fuels, both on the propane and CNG side. So to start things off, let's focus on incentives. Right now in Ohio, there is no state level incentives for alternative fuels in general. That's where House Bill 176 and now Senate Bill 267 come into play. These are proposed pieces of legislation that would create public grants and private fleet tax credits for incentives of purchasing or retrofitting alternative fuel vehicles. This is a piece of legislation that Clean Fuels Ohio has been active with from the start. Some of you might recall House Bill 336 from last year, which is this exact same bill coming back through again that we were very vocal and involved with. And really the drive and focus is making this a fuel and technology neutral bill, not focusing on any one type of technology, but allowing it to be an even playing field. So creating grants, creating tax credits, and then also creating a Ohio road tax for CNG. At present, CNG does not get taxed at the state level as it is a gaseous fuel and not a liquid fuel. So also included in this would be a phase-in of road tax at the state level for CNG as well to help stations be able to prepare and get ready for paying their fair share of tax over a longer period of time. So moving on to another government program that is out there and available for public fleets is called the Local Government Innovation Fund. This is a specific fund that focuses on conducting feasibility studies for local governments throughout Ohio. This is a fund that a lot of municipalities might be familiar with through other means. It really is a fund that can apply to many different types of projects, but one specific type of project that we can be involved in on is creating a feasibility study for alternative fuels in a fleet. Clean Fuels Ohio, we've already worked with a number of municipalities in applying to this fund and now subsequently conducting studies that are funded by LGIF. And we're happy to talk to any other of those interested municipalities as well. The process is very simple and straightforward. In terms of grant applications, this is definitely one of the less involved ones, just requires some very simple numbers from the fleet, but it's one that we have been able to get experience in and have been able to successfully submit to. There's quarterly deadlines throughout 2016, with the next deadline being May 15th. So if there are any interested municipalities, there's still time to talk through applying and pulling together details. Clean Fuels Ohio, we're actually doing these applications for free on behalf of municipalities. For other grants, sometimes we do charge grant writing fees just to cover our own personnel costs, but in the case of the LGIF, we are happy to do that for free for municipalities, and happy to talk more with those that are interested. Another big grant that is out there is called the Diesel Emission Reduction Grant. This is conducted by the Ohio EPA. DERG is the common acronym you'll hear for this. We're just wrapping up the latest round of this grant that applies to diesel vehicle retrofits, engine repowers, and replacements for alternative fuels. So the focus is on reducing diesel emissions. So eligible vehicles are both public and private diesel vehicles, with up to 80% of the total cost for a new alternative fuel vehicle on the public side being eligible for reimbursement. And then on the private side, it's up to 80% of the incremental cost that is eligible. So that is the cost difference between a new diesel and a new alternative fuel vehicle being eligible for the application. We have worked with numerous private and public fleets in the past, and there are many different ways you can craft and create this application. You can even do a old diesel to new diesel application. However, we typically work with those fleets that look at either converting or purchasing new propane or CNG vehicles as a part of the program. So there is $10 million pending in the remaining fiscal year 2016, and then $10 million more slotted for 2017 as well for award. And so we are happy to work with fleets to both create and submit the grant on their behalf. And if there's need for help on the administration side, if successfully awarded, we also have the expertise and knowledge to help with administration of and reporting of the grant as well. And then also to bring it around to Midwest Drives, like I mentioned at the top of the webinar, this is a free alternative fuels vehicle demonstration program available in Ohio, Michigan, and Indiana, with the focus on deploying free alternative fuel vehicle demonstrations across numerous vehicle class sizes and fuel types. Working with both private and public fleets, all fleets are eligible to participate. And there is also a data logging element built into this. We are working with a company by the name of Fleet Karma, which is nationally renowned for its analytics and telecommunication ability of tracking vehicle data and location, and using that as a way to create case study report. So through this, we are able to do free demonstrations and also provide simple case studies that are able to compare alternative fuel vehicles as they're deployed in the real world scenario. We're also actually working further with the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, NREL, on helping generate these case studies through the program. So a lot of great data to come out of this. If you are interested in learning more, all you need to do is visit midwestdrives.org, and that'll take you to our landing page on the Clean Fuels Ohio website with all the details, on vehicles, as well as the program. And also there is an enrollment form there that you can fill out. And that is the simple first step, just catches some baseline data and allows us to be able to follow up with you to learn more. So please do visit that webpage if you're interested in learning more about how you can participate. And then finally, we have our now second annual Midwest Green Fleets Forum and Expo coming up September 26th through the 28th in Columbus, Ohio. This is a multi-day alternative fuels conference focused on fleet deployment and case study and success. It's really an exciting event, one that we launched last year. Prior, we had done a typical one-day event, but wanted to expand it into a multi-day conference. So that's what Midwest Green Fleets Forum has become. A lot of great feedback from last year, and the biggest feedback was be sure to dedicate more time to doing specific tours around Ohio. So that's exactly what we've done. We've expanded it to 3 days. So there's just the same, if not more, programming built into the conference, with also plenty of site tours built into the planning as well as a third day. That way, folks will be able to tour through different alternative fuel projects, as well as manufacturing locations, and also be there for the programming as well. So the webpage for that is midwestgreenfleets.com, and there will be plenty more coming out on that as well. So just to wrap things out, this is my contact information. Feel free to reach out to me with any questions that you may have over any of the content talked about here, or any general alternative fuel vehicle questions. The primary objective of Clean Fuels Ohio is of education and being able to provide information and knowledge to interested fleets and stakeholders throughout Ohio. So with that, let me click over to our questions section, see what questions we have submitted so far. Again, there is a questions tab on your control panel. Feel free to type in a question there, and I'll let those trickle in as they do come through. And let me also take Ralph off of mute. All right, Ralph, you're live now too, so you can help chime in on questions as they come through. One question, actually, which I'll start off with for you, Ralph, that you covered a little bit in your presentation, but might be good to go a little bit more into, is on maintenance facility side for those fleets that are interested in converting over to propane or CNG for that matter. Sometimes there is the concern of what steps need to be taken to update or retrofit facilities. Would you be able to share a little bit on some of those considerations that a fleet would need to have for doing a conversion?
Sure, Matt. So it's concerning propane, as long as if the fleet has internally already service for their gasoline vehicles or their diesel vehicles, there is no update to do in the structure where there is they will be servicing their propane systems or installing for that matter. For as long as we're talking about propane systems. Concerning CNG, there is various aspects which have to be taken care of in the building, from the explosion-proof lighting to a few other updates that have to be done to the building if the building or the garage is equipped for gasoline service. For CNG, there are updates which have to be obtained for that garage to do service on CNG.
No, thanks for that insight. That's definitely good to know, and a question that might not immediately come to the forefront for fleet managers, but one that they'd want to consider. Another question too that sometimes we'll get at events is choosing between a dedicated fuel versus the biofuel option. Sometimes folks are able to relate it back to such as a plug-in hybrid, where it's trying to battle that range anxiety. In your experience in working with fleets, is there a typical fleet that will line up best with a dedicated option or a biofuel option as you work on scoping out vehicles?
Sure. It depends mostly on the fleet, and as you indicated, there are some fleets that do not just take an infrastructure consideration into place, but also range anxiety into place. So if you go and break it down, really, if there's a range anxiety and they want to enjoy the additional benefit of having gasoline as a backup, the biofuel option is the option to go with them. Also, if it is a fleet where the drivers don't necessarily always come back to base every evening or every day, and they are concerned where they might, while driving, an extended range. They might not have access to a propane station. Of course, there's more access to gasoline stations around in that case. So that's also an element to consider for the biofuel. Some might also keep into consideration that if their propane station is inoperative for a short period of time for whatever the reason may be, and they do not have access to propane stations around, they might want to consider the biofuel option in that case. Monofuel and dedicated usually are with the bigger fleets that have options on refueling and have also a backup for refueling and have different options are more comfortable and want to use the dedicated. To give you, it's not really by segment or industry, because a perfect example might be UPS Canada has opted for the dedicated, while our DHL contractors, for example, opted for the biofuels, and they're in the same industry and same segment. They're actually direct competitors. So it's not really by industry. It really depends on fleet by fleet. I guess looking at what is the better option for them and which one they feel more comfortable with.
No, that definitely makes a lot of sense. And in our experience too, typically we'll see biofuel as a popular option in the law enforcement side, for instance, for those police interceptors that might be operating a little bit outside home base or don't know when the next time is they'll be refueling. So appreciate that insight. One question we do have coming in directed to myself is it too late to get in on the DERG opportunity? And is this 80-20 split for a school district? The short answer is it is. The current round, it has already been awarded. The award is about to officially be publicly announced. There is another award slotted for this year, however. So the award has already been made for the immediate round, but there is another round that is anticipated to come up for this year. The last indication we had was that it would be in the springtime. However, there has been some delay on the EPA side in their processing of the current round. So if not for the spring, we would most likely anticipate the next round of DERG to take place either in late summer or most likely the fall, which has been their traditional time to launch that RFP for the last few rounds. So at the latest, we would anticipate the next round of DERG to take place in the fall. And indeed, the 80-20 split does apply to school districts. To go a little bit more into how the grant is awarded, it is a competitive grant. So each project application is compared versus all the other applicants as well. And the EPA to date has looked at it as a total project cost effectiveness against emissions reduced, which is to say how much money is being spent on all vehicles involved versus how much emissions are being reduced. And they're going to look to the more cost-effective projects. So that's to say, at least based on that reading, it's not going to be how much money you're asking for in the award, so 80% of the vehicle versus the emissions reduced. They're going to look at the total cost of the vehicle. So in the case of school districts, you are eligible up to 80% of a propane school bus, let's say, for reimbursement. However, they're going to look at the total cost of that one school bus versus the emissions it's reducing by running on propane as their criteria for competitiveness. So we'll be doing another webinar once that RFP comes more forward and be providing plenty more information on DERG. And so if you are interested in being looped into that communication, you can visit the Ohio EPA website, and they do have a listserv that you can submit your email address to that they will use as an announcement when the next round comes up. In turn, feel free to get in touch with us. We also run our own interested fleets listserv, and we keep all of those folks alert and involved when the announcement comes out. So feel free to reach out to us more. We're happy to talk more and also talk about how Clean Fuels Ohio can help out with your grant application.
Matt, I'd just like to add another point, if I can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also regarding the cost savings of using propane alternative fuel systems in general, there is a great, of course, there's a big difference in the prices of, for example, the fuels compared to propane in our case. There is the added benefit of 36 cents per gallon for 2016, which is an additional benefit, and which helps, of course, your return on investment for investing in these systems. But for fleets, for example, also that are looking at their budgets and what it would cost them to add a system, retrofit a system, or get a new vehicle with the system on it, it's also important to indicate that they can also finance that system, so they can pay it on a monthly basis as they're saving monies on their fuel costs, which would mean that their impact would be very marginal. So they would not put a big dent in their budget where they would have an outlay to put the systems on a certain number of vehicles. They could actually break that up on a monthly basis and pay that on a monthly basis as they're saving per month on their fuel costs. So that would have a much lesser impact on their budget.
That's great to know, Ralph. Thanks for sharing that. I actually wasn't aware that that was a program you guys were running. And indeed, that's actually one that a number of incentive programs around the U.S. try to focus on conducting a revolving loan to a similar effect. So that definitely makes sense as you're building up savings and being able to apply those savings to financing the vehicle. That's excellent. Well, that wraps up a lot of the questions that we have coming in. Ralph, is there anything else you'd like to share before we sign off?
I would like to also indicate that the liquid injection propane systems really are the innovative systems in the industry, and while being innovative, they have been proven and reliable in the U.S. So any type of fleet that would be choosing liquid injection propane would be receiving a reliable, guaranteed, proven system, EPA certified, of course, and NFP 58 compliant, besides being compliant with the other norms and regulations. So it's important fleets choose these types of systems, or they choose a supplier, that they choose a reliable, certified supplier with a reliable technology that is able to provide them not only the systems that will be successful on their fleets, but also systems that will be able to be serviced and will have the necessary backup when they're out there on the road and need to be serviced.
No, thanks very much for sharing that, Ralph. This has all been very informative, and by all means, if you are interested in learning more about the ICOM system, feel free to reach out to ICOM, or feel free to reach out to Clean Fuels Ohio. We're happy to connect you with them. And also, their vehicles are participating in Midwest drives. So if you're just looking for an opportunity to kick the tires and give a test drive, we're happy to link you up with that demonstration as well. Well, very good. Well, I'd just like to thank you, Ralph, once more for being a part of this webinar. Again, we'll be posting this video subsequently afterwards. I'll shoot an email out to all the attendees here. That way you'll have a link to it. And otherwise, any questions, just feel free to reach out. Thanks, everyone, and have a good day.